Welcome to another edition of the podcast known as Blending the Family. I'm your host, Tommy Maloney. You're probably saying, Tommy, that's me. What is Blending the Family? Well, thank you for asking. Whoa. Wow. Let me grab some water. Hold on. One more. Wow. Let's try that again. Hey, Tommy, that's me. What is Blending the Family? Well, thank you for asking. Blending the Family, this podcast, we've talked about co-parenting apps. We've talked about men's mental health. And on this episode, we are going to start diving into the new book, My Dad's Advice at 5:04 a.m. What I'm going to do on this episode, I'm going to pause right there. I'm going to wait. So, how are you doing? I should have just said, how are you doing? You doing good? Coming to you from Lafayette, Indiana. I think the high today was like 20. I am near, if you're not familiar with, I'm not a big college sports fan, but I know that Lafayette is home of the Purdue Boilermakers, and I'm thinking I might drive by the campus. I'm thinking. If you've ever listened to this podcast, you know I'm an introvert. You know I like my comfort of just with the dreaded day job, just going from the work back to the hotel. That's it. That's all I want to do, and then spend quality time with you as I am doing right now. I'm gonna grab some more water. So yeah, Lafayette, Indiana. I might explore. Okay. What else is going on? Well, thank you for asking. And if I'm going to warn you now, this is going to be a short episode. So if you're going to be walking your dog, if you're going to be on the treadmill, if you're going to be driving cross country, this is still a good episode, but you might want to listen to more episodes. That's all I'm saying. So you're doing good. Okay, we established that. I'm doing well. I had it, and I want to keep this. For now, I'm going to keep this as vague as possible, and maybe later on I'll go into more depth. But hey, as a parent, have you ever had to use the phrasing to your children? I'm disappointed in you. Some of you are raising your hands. Well, hopefully you're not raising your hands while you're driving, but I had to do it. I had to say to one of the kids, and I'm not naming kids' names because I want to wait on this, but there was an incident. There was a lack of communication, and this individual, I can say this. I'm going to say I was hurt, that I was not part of the loop, and I was disappointed. I was disappointed in their actions. I was disappointed that they didn't come to me. And as somebody that is really bad at admitting when they need help, this is an opportunity for me to speak to that individual once I can see this individual in person. Water. That as my business coach, Mr. Glenn P. Brooks Jr. would say, we all need some help. We all need our network. We need our connections. We need our family. And so I was, again, hurt that I was not, and maybe that's what it is. And instead of, now I'm feeling guilty that I told this individual, this one of the kids, I was disappointed. Hold on. Welcome to Therapy 101. I was disappointed. I guess we'll have to come back to this. But yeah, I was disappointed and hurt. Once I can go into a little bit more detail, maybe I can explain why I was hurt. And we'll leave that at that. So stay tuned for the vague conversation of Tommy Maloney. All right, so this episode, I am taking the raw pieces of the new book, My Dad's Advice at 5:04 a.m., and I'm putting them here in a podcast, putting them here as if it was a audiobook. And so eventually I will clean it up. My hope is in like 6 months. 6 months to do a real audiobook as far as a better sound quality. Because again, I'm in a hotel room recording this. And when I recorded it's the behind the scenes of why I wrote the book or what the book is about. And I will admit, there's some more vagueness. Maybe that's the theme of this podcast episode is vagueness. Why is my voice so... I wasn't doing a lot of training today, so I don't know. Anywho. So a little bit of the backstory of the book, where the title came from. And I just wanted to start sharing piece by piece, chapter by chapter with you. And if you can, please support me, support this book. This book is needed, in my opinion. And so if you go to mydadsadvicebook.com, mydadsadvicebook.com, book is on pre-sale order right now, and we are getting close to it being officially, physically launched. So there you go. There was something else I want to mention, and I think it was a conversation I was having with a gentleman, and that is I want to briefly just talk about, and don't roll your eyes while you're doing this, but I just want to briefly talk about goal setting. And with this friend, we'll call him by his nickname because you won't know who he is, but we'll call him Jet. Okay? Jet. So Jet, if you're listening, I hope you appreciate this because I appreciate you. You're a good guy. You're a great dad. So Jet is wanting a new opportunity. And my thought to him, because this is the second time we've had this conversation, this is the second time where we're hoping that this happens. And it actually happened, but beyond some wacky circumstances, Jet was not able to take that opportunity. So we're hoping that this new opportunity will be the one he wants. I know he wants this opportunity. But anyway, so my point is with goals, and you've possibly heard this a lot, and I want to mention this, that the new website is coming out very shortly. I'm almost done with it. Yay me. And I do want to put out there that it is going to be, the website is going to be heavily loaded, I guess is the best way I could describe it, with coaching opportunities, because I love helping you. I love serving others. And I've feel that message keeps coming back to me in other conversations. And with Jet, it came to me again saying, you know what? I would love to just do more coaching. So get ready for the new website. You're going to see the coaching stuff on there. So with setting goals, I firmly believe one of the biggest things, and there's different ways of setting goals, but one of the things I do want to share with you, and this is what I was sharing with Jed, is you have to believe it has already happened. You have to put that thought in your mind's eye. Tattoo it on your brain. Before you go to bed, picture that it's already happened. What you put out comes back to you. Okay? Some people are going to be rolling their eyes, but I'm going to say to you, you put out good vibes, you're going to get good vibes. You're kind to people, people will be kind to you. Okay? So there. My point, again, is visualize it. Picture it. Feel it has already happened. Okay? So that's not only advice for you, but I'm going to emphasize this to Jet, that he does that. Love water. All right. I have said my piece. I'm going to cough. Excuse me. I don't know what's going on with my voice, but there we go. All right. So I think we've covered enough today. We've talked about the book. We've talked about the new website. We talked about goal setting. We've talked about the weather, the Boilermakers, and there you go. All right. Going to leave you. And as Terry Crews would say, your success is my success. Imagine for a moment that you are out having dinner with some close friends. All of you are having great time, great food, when all of a sudden one of your friends just blurts out to you the craziest piece of advice you have ever heard. Next picture, sitting at a local coffee shop and you strike up a conversation with a stranger. The topic of your friend's advice comes up. The complete stranger looks right at you. After hearing that advice, you felt hearing this advice was just insane in the membrane. This complete stranger looks at you, ponders, and then says, your friend was spot on. The story behind the title of the book comes from my 2015 TEDx talk. My dad has a great sense of humor, but it was his offering me a piece of advice when my son Connor was born that created this TEDx talk. When Connor was born, I was very excited to call my dad and let him know he was going to be a grandfather. Before Connor was born, my dad would explain to me that he did not want to be called Grandpa or Papa or any nicknames that had a meaning that he was a grandparent. I understood that my dad had a mental picture of permanently being a Chicago bachelor. I will tell you that today, and many years later, of not only spending time with his grandson, but with his bonus granddaughters, my dad is an awesome grandfather. During my divorce in 2008, the thought of wanting to be an advocate to dads was a thought that started to overcome me. This feeling was based on examining how I was still going to bond with my son when I was not living in the house, because my job had me on the road 100% of the time. I knew that there are other dads who are in a similar situation than I am, trying to balance family, life, and work can very much be in the suck. The first idea I came up with was how to stay connected with Connor was to send him postcards from the cities I was in. At the time, he was learning to read, so this was a perfect opportunity to help him with his reading. Well, it also helped me work on my penmanship so he could actually read them. Sending the postcards was the first in a series of tips I came up with that ended up becoming my first book, 25 Tips for Divorced Dads. That book was more about helping other dads with figuring out ways to stay connected with their kids. The book was also very cathartic for me because I wanted to be the best dad I could, and coming up with ideas not only was helping me to do that, but it was also the part of implementing was even better. One other tip I want to share with you was just creating traditions. One of the traditions that Connor and I came up with was no making the bed day. I firmly believe in creating life skills, and making the bed was one of those. For us, one Saturday a month, we would not make our beds. A life lesson I learned from my dad that he did not realize he placed into my memory banks when I became a dad was when I received an email from Connor's school of needing chaperones. I tried and to do my best to be one of the first to respond. My dad was on at least one, maybe two field trips that made a lasting impression on me. During the writing of this book, I found myself, in between contracts, so that afforded me, back when Connor was in grade school, the opportunity to go on field trips with him and his class. The advice that my dad gave me that you'll read about was an eye-opener for me for two reasons. Well, number one, the thought it was crazy of what I was hearing on the other end of the phone. Yeah, phone, not a cell phone. Number two was I had brought the advice up with another couple when my wife Ann and I were at a local bar on a date night. I had struck up a conversation with the couple next to us, and I told the gentleman my dad's advice. And this guy said something to me that made me feel I was speaking with my dad. The guy said, "Your dad was right." This book has a woven theme, and it comes from the TEDx talk that I hope the ladies will pick up on. I wrote this book to encourage that former spouses understand that in a divorce, it is not about you. It's about the kids. Be able to co-parent, and yes, that will mean to take the rough and tumble high roads occasionally, but co-parenting is about the kids, not about you. I want to showcase some dads in this book because I understand, I get it. After a divorce, a lot of us former spouses are not great, former spouses, but we are present in our kids' lives. I again want to showcase that there are dads who are doing the right thing by being present in our kids' lives. Thank you for listening to this, and I hope you go to the website mydadsadvicebook.com, mydadsadvicebook.com, and get your copy of the book. Mydadsadvicebook.com, mydadsadvicebook.com. Hey, question of the podcast, who's the fastest runner you know?